my big question for you is, when I'm underneath as a quarterback, for a defensive lineman, how is that different on first and second down now than when I'm in the shotgun?
First of all, play action is available, and it's the toughest thing to defend. And as a defensive lineman, you have more of your playbook at your disposal under center than you do in the shotgun, right? Like, the way we go into a meeting during the week is we have personnel groupings. We have a certain set number of plays that they run out of that personnel grouping. They have a tendency slide where your tendencies are on first and second down. When you're under center, everything is available to you. You got zone stretch game, you got play action game, you got screen game, toss. So as a defensive lineman, and RC, I know you're gonna get to the back end, as a defensive lineman, you now have uncondensed your ability to run whatever you want to run.
I've opened up the barrel.
When you get in shotgun, it's only a few things they do. Look at the back deck. It's the back on the side of him. And even in protection, I tell y'all this all the time. When the back is set away, usually in shotgun, we know what the protection is.
So I used to always have these conversations with offensive linemen, and when we were in under center in comparison to in the gun, they would always say that their ability to sell the run was so much more realistic because they could just fire off the football more. The ability for a quarterback, like when I'm under center and I'm running play action, for people at home, you know, like when I take the snap, I literally get to hide the football.
We don't see it.
You have no idea whether I'm actually handing it off or not. Where in the gun, it's just catch and I flash the ball. You guys all still see the football on defense, you know?
Well, it's not necessarily even about what we see. It's about what we can anticipate. And Marcus mentioned how the playbook is so condensed once you guys are in shotgun. It also allows me to relax. It also allows me not to react to every single thing. When you're under center, you have so much you can do and so much looks the same. Right? As far as like just sticking the ball out there, I can be late. I'm not rushing to the run.
Is that different in the gun for you?
Yeah, but I'm not rushing to the run because I'm like, oh, you're going to get 4 yards on the run? I don't care. I'll react late. I'll put a cap on the defense. I'll give us another blade of grass to defend. But when you do have the stretch runner available, when you do have ISO, when you do have zone, now we are triggering as cover two corners. We are triggering as down safeties, and all of those things change what you can do. The other thing is this: the amount of play action you can do and the type of play action opens up the route tree. Right. When we're getting a straight drop back from the shotgun, things have to happen quicker.
That's a good point.
So much opens up when you turn around. You have an opportunity to elongate the play and also your time in the pocket.
So Mina Kimes is joining us today on an off day.
Mina!
This is such an important conversation. And
I knew you wasn't going to be able to stay away.
She could not resist this. This literally is something that we love on this show. Mina, I want to know specifically, as you hear the trends that Dan's pointing out and the numbers that back it up, is there a team that needs to exploit this?
Yeah, I think everything you just described, all three of you, explains perfectly why the Bengals offense has struggled this season, especially in the beginning of the season. It comes down to a couple things. They can't run the ball well, and when they're in the gun, defenses have known Joe Burrow is going to pass it, so they're facing a lot of too high looks, which, as Dan said, limits what you can do on offense. Something that I've been tracking with the Bengals or paying attention to is that percentage, the amount of times he's in the gun and how it's evolving over the season. So I actually went back and checked. In week 1, Joe Burrow was under center only 3.8% of the time. Week 2, 16.7. Week 3, 22.8. Week 4, 25.8. It is going up exactly because of what you described, which is they recognize the run game and the pass game need to look more like each other so we can get some of those tasty single high looks. That's how you get those go balls to Jamar Chase coming back in this offense.
This is why I love this. That's why I mean, what an absolute stat.
Boom. Self-scouting, right? They're self-scouting. They see what we see.
Yeah, I want to ask you this. So if I'm an offense and I come out and I break the huddle, no matter my personnel, right, and I'm under center versus in the gun, like if I'm in the gun, you know, offenses, we have these check with me's, right, where you hear alert, alert, or, you know, because I'm looking into the defense and going, what are they doing? I want to get us into a better play. You guys, if I come out and shotgun defensively, do you guys have moments where you have check with me's where, hey, you're under gun, we're going to check to a certain defense?
Well, it's not necessarily that you check to a certain defense. It's the way that you now play the defense that is called. Now, you get your check with me's if you go spread, right? You guys get into empty because we understand how you can exploit certain defenses. But when you're in shotgun, now the play changes. If I'm Marcus Spears and I'm in shotgun, what I'm going to tell Marcus is you tackle the run on the way to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Right? Whereas if you're under center, much like Mina is saying, that looks alike. you are essentially blocking me as I'm figuring out if it's run or pass.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in shotgun, I'm off the ball, I'm attacking you. Whereas if I'm coming down the line here in a zone or something like that, now the defensive linemen have to play the run. The linebackers have to play the run.
Did you ever read guys' stances, like offensive linemen stances, gun to under?
Absolutely, and they change because the one dynamic is I always liken this to the Denver Broncos in my time in the league, right? And we used to always have a difficult time trying to determine if it was a bootleg or if it was a zone stretch. That was one of the hardest things in football. But the problem you had as a defensive lineman, you felt like you were playing the block so long, right? So when you see it now. Quarterbacks run bootleg now, or they do rollouts, it's a defensive end right there staring in their face.
Yeah.
Like nobody's closing down the line of scrimmage anymore. When you're in our formation, to your point, Dan, when you hide the ball and you get in a zone stretch look, you have no choice but to chase and be late to a bootleg. So that's one of the things that have changed.
I know we're getting to Dan. Dan, I used to make tackles for loss from the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And what changed that for me was elephants on parade.
Yep.
When you saw the offensive lineman in a
let's show
right. So
let's show
Parade.
So you're playing the zone, or
You
you're
guys
playing.
gotta do it here because it's jam.
Okay,
Come
you're
on,
playing
Jim.
the zone, or you're playing the boot, right?
Yeah.
When the ball is snapped and they start moving to the zone, this is how it looks. It looks like that in run and in pass.
But from underneath.
Yeah, from underneath,
underneath.
right? And so as soon as they turn their bodies and they start going this way, you don't know if you're getting the stretch that way or if the quarterback's going to pull it back here and get out. But for that, now the defensive end has to squeeze. Now if I'm the middle of the field safety, I either have to move laterally or I have to wait.
Yep.
Right.
That was so difficult to play. But when you back here in shotgun and y'all doing all that clapping and all that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to chill.
So I can see,
We're going to go here.
I can see, even as a defensive lineman, I can see all your action.
Yeah.
While I'm playing the play,
That's why I think like we're starting to see even some of the older quarterbacks get under center more and more. So one of the reasons why you play two high safeties is it forces me to be very patient as an offense. You said 4 yards. I got to drive the length of the field. I'm going to make a mistake. One of the things, MK, you could talk about this too, is I don't see a lot of early down shotgun explosive plays from offenses right now. What I do see more of is the only way to create explosive plays, 20-plus yards down the field, is on early downs, I got to put my quarterback underneath center and utilize some play action or get a chunk explosive in the run game because you are playing that too high stuff.
God, the NFL is so freaking cyclical. It makes me sick. I'll say there's one exception to the shotgun thing, and I would say that is the Miami Dolphins, because the amount of speed they have is so unprecedented, and because what Mike McDaniel is able to do to create deception even without his quarterback under center. But they, to me, are the exception. It's no coincidence that right now the most efficient offenses in the NFL are the ones that are good at running the ball. Philadelphia, heck, teams like Detroit and Atlanta that nobody expected to be great coming into this season.
MK, Detroit's the team that kind of tipped me off on this when I was watching the tape because I remember Jared was such a heavy gun guy in LA, and I'm seeing him under center so much, and I'm going, whoa. And that's what tipped me off.
Yeah, but Jared,
the play action game.
He got to a point where he started to excel with Todd Gurley, and that wasn't a team that was heavy shotgun.
For sure.
Right? That team was
under center.
That team was under center.
Yeah, as much as